Say that one more time.
Oh, okay. Hello. That this meeting is available in English and Spanish. Will the translator please give instruction on translation services available?
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. Se utilizará la función de interpretación de Zoom para soporte en inglés y español. Todos los participantes de esta llamada deben seleccionar su idioma de preferencia haciendo clic en el idioma correspondiente cuando el anfitrión active la función de interpretación. Dicha función se encuentra en el panel de herramientas en el icono del globo terráqueo. El modo de interpretación para esta reunión será el simultáneo. Gracias por su atención y colaboración.
Thank you. Now we're moving to item 3, approval of the agenda. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak on this item, which is solely about the agenda, please raise a hand in a blue card or use the raise hand feature online. Okay, perfect. Not seeing any comments, is there a motion to approve the agenda as it is?
I move to approve the agenda as it is.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Perfect. Perfect. Any public comments on this? This or no? Perfect. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Upon motion by 3 people, in opposition or abstentions, the motion passes 3-0. Now, we're moving to item 4, public comments for closed session. If there are any comments pertaining to closed session items, please submit a blue card or use the raise hand feature online. Are there any public comments on this? Okay, seeing none. We are about to convene to closed session and we will be back around 6:30.
Yes, Ms. Rubis Remoritz, so Peggy Shan-Brewster is out today due to illness and can't be here tonight. And so I'm asking the board to consider entertaining a motion to allow her to participate remotely as allowed per government code 54953.
I so move.
You?
So we're making a motion,
Yeah.
seconding and voting on it.
I'll move that.
Okay,
I'll second.
perfect. Everybody in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Well, no discussion.
And let the minutes reflect that we'll be adding Ms. Peggy Shan-Brewster as a panelist via Zoom to participate in the meeting, including closed session as well.
Perfect. And with that, we're convening to closed session and we'll be back around 6:30. Thank you.
Wow, okay. Excellent.
I was like, oh, I wish this was a light one. It's like easier, so you just have to kind of
Yes.
be or just flip one to bring it to the front, right? It's like lower down, and then it's up higher, it's up higher, right? So you can feel it. So they'll be like,
Okay.
you can feel it, right?
Okay. Do we need this? Or the things
So
that
that's just the regular that has like, I think it might have a letter to sign for the CSBA.
Right now.
I like how you named it.
Yep. Right, you learn.
So you already paid this week?
Yes. We're just super involved in everything going on.
There's a lot of stuff.
Maybe the first day of June, even better. My 8-week son, the reason that's because is
Okay.
I got 2 weeks ago, my guys were like, this
Yeah, well, that's good. Is that in the report?
I was gonna have
The red, that's what it is. You got it.
Sure, and then the blue is a quick thing.
Well, the time is now 6:42. And we will now, so we are now back from closed session. We expect, okay, we're now back from closed session. We have a comment from agenda item 6, the time is now. As a reminder, if you require Spanish interpretation service online, please click on the world icon at the Zoom menu, and we have this announcement for closed session in the public employee discipline dismissal release by Governance Code 54956B and 1. No action was taken. And during the recently concluded closed session, also on the next item, the board voted to appoint Laura Khan as interim chief business official of the district effective March 27, 2026, and the vote was unanimous. With that, we're going to move to the next item. Agenda item 7, flag salute. Proud to have students tonight with us. If you're available, please stay until after 9:08 to take a picture with us and your school staff, with the board and the cabinet. And tonight, flag salute will be led by
Fairwood Explorer.
Fairwood Explorer. So welcome, and we're very happy to have you here.
All right.
Please, Dave.
All right. Good evening, Board President Peggy Shen Brewster, board members, Superintendent Dr. Crossway, district cabinet members, and Sunnyvale School District community. I am Rochelle Romander, proud principal of Fairwood Explorer Elementary School, and we are honored to be a part of tonight's board meeting. Joining me today are two of our students, Esteban Castorena and Leah Sanchez Martinez. Esteban is going to start us off by leading the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Esteban. And now Leah is going to read the land acknowledgement.
Sunnyvale School District is located on the ancestral unceded land of the Muwekma tribe, who have peacefully honored and cared for this land for thousands of years. We recognize that every member of the Sunnyvale community continues to benefit from the uses and occupations of this land. We acknowledge our responsibilities to learn from the wisdom of the Ohlone people and to consider how we might work to repair injustices and to move forward together in honorable ways.
Thank you, students, and thank you, Lauren.
And now we're moving to item 9, reports from the students. Okay, we have first student from Sunnyvale Middle School.
We have 3 chairs. Come on. One thing on Zoom.
Good evening, Board President Brewster, trustees, Superintendent Crossway, and community. We are excited to share recent events happening at our school. My name is Alicia Chen, and I serve as treasurer at Sunnyvale Middle School. The Pops concert that was held this Tuesday was a great success. It showcased the hard work and dedication of our orchestra, band, and choir students. The finale performance from Les Miserables was especially impressive, as it brought together both the band and orchestra in a powerful combined symphony. The piece blended several well-known songs, creating a dynamic and memorable ending to the concert. In addition, our Japanese exchange students are visiting our campus today and tomorrow. This program provides a valuable opportunity for cultural exchange. During their visit, they toured Stanford University and several well-known technology companies, including Google. This morning, they also enjoyed meeting our students over breakfast prepared by our food and nutrition teacher, Mr. Herrera. Lastly, our tennis team began their season and just finished a match today. We wish all team members the best of luck this season. Now, Anish will share his experience as the captain of the tennis team.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anish Prakash, and I serve as captain of the Sunnyvale Middle tennis team. We just finished our match against Block. It went pretty well. We won 6-3, and we kind of got our revenge. We lost 9-0 to them 2 years ago. One instance that encapsulates the spirit of our team was during last year's championship final. As I stepped onto the court, I could immediately tell that all the players were completely focused and giving it their all. Game by game, the match was becoming more intense, but what caught my attention was not just the talent being displayed, but the heart. Between games, players were motivating one another, keeping calm despite all odds and persevering despite all reasons to quit. When we finally won that match, it wasn't just about the trophy, but all we had built to achieve it. That moment was a reminder of how much I enjoyed being part of this team. We worked our way up to the next division due to that match, and despite now that it's harder, and that we could push through it. Being a player on the team has taught me a lot, but one of the most valuable things I've learned from being on the team that it isn't always about winning, but about bringing others up and creating a motivating environment where everyone gives their best. This team has shown me how much people grow and help each other out. I'm truly thankful for the support given by this community, and I look forward to representing SMS with dedication and passion. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Lauren Singh and I serve as Vice President of Sunnyvale Middle. Good evening, my name is Lauren Singh and I serve as Vice President of Sunnyvale Middle. As the second trimester ended, students were invited to the Spring Academic Awards on March 25th. With music and food trucks, high academic awards were given to students who earned averages of 3.75 or higher, and principals awards were presented to students who achieved all fours in their content grades. Leadership Activities is currently planning our Alice in Wonderland semifinal, which is actually tomorrow. We are incredibly excited to host an event for all grades and even Japanese exchange students to socialize and enjoy themselves. School site council meetings, where ASB members and staff meet up to discuss ideas, has also been a great help to measure campus culture. We observed data from our survey, Satchel Pulse, and understood perspectives of students, families, and staff. One highlight that caught my eye was a success in representation of different backgrounds. Students voted about the fair treatment of diversity, and we were excited to see that equality. Additionally, we established an online suggestion box where students can drop in any reports, problems, or tips to be reviewed by admins. This is a great way to understand what students need and how we can support them. On behalf of all of Sunnyvale Middle School, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our school's recent events and growth. Thank you.
And now we have a student from Colombian Middle School. Okay.
Good evening, Sunnyvale board members and the public. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hector Escamano Jr. I'm an 8th grader at Columbia Middle School. Today I'll be talking about what I've been learning recently in my classes, specifically AVID, and then we will move on into field trips I do with AVID and family events I do with AVID and with CMS. At CMS, I'm an AVID, or Advancement via Individual Determination, where we learn all about note-taking and helping us get into colleges and other such institutions, then making us do TRFs, which lead into tutorials that overall has helped me to be more social and be able to speak up during public speaking like I am now. Other classes, such as science, we are currently learning about potential and kinetic energy by conducting an egg drop experiment, and also in English language arts, we did a space race scavenger hunt where we used what we learned from the space race to win a prize. Another subject I wanted to bring to the board on this fine evening was that I have been recently informed that I'm having an AVID field trip where we get to see how college campuses operate and we get a little tour and take a look around. Sometimes we can even get souvenirs, which is pretty cool. But the college in question that we are going to is SFSU, or San Francisco State University. The final thing I would like to tell you the board is all about is AVID Family Night, which happened just recently, where we showed parents what we have been doing in AVID and creating fun and engaging games for our parents, and at the end of the night, we showed them how we conduct a tutorial, which they had never seen before. And the 8th graders got to get to show the 7th graders got to get to show the poster boards of the colleges they picked. To summarize, the assignments for my classes this year have helped me improve in school this year. Also, the events and field trips in AVID have helped me learn about college and helped me understand it more. Thank you to the board for listening about my experiences at school. Here's my partner Giselle, and she's going to tell you about her experience at Columbia.
Good evening, board members and Sunnyvale community. My name is Giselle Aguilera and I'm a 6th grade student at Columbia Middle School. Today I will be speaking about some of my 6th grade classes, what it is like to be in school sports, and what some of the past events and upcoming events have been about. One of my favorite classes is AVID. I like AVID because it shows us useful things like note taking and communication. This has helped improve on how to communicate with my peers and take notes more efficiently. Another one of my 6th grade classes is social studies. I like social studies because it allows me to learn more about the different cultures and ideas of different parts of the world, which keeps me interested and focused. The last subject I will be sharing with you is about math. The unit we are currently on, we are learning how to find the greater number between negative and positive numbers. Next, I'd like to share about the different sports we have at Columbia Middle School. Some of the sports we have are soccer, basketball, track and field, volleyball, and softball. I have been on the softball team and on the volleyball team. Having the experience of being on a school team showed me how much fun it was to play and to be on part of a team. It gave me the opportunity to collaborate with girls in all grades, which taught me how to listen and support others while also being able to learn from the older players who helped me be a stronger teammate. I want to end by going over the events held by Columbia Middle School. One of the events we have every trimester is the award assembly. During the assembly, awards that recognize having good grades are given to students. I like those awards the most because they make me feel proud when you get them, and you have 3 chances each trimester to get them, so that helps motivate me to have 4s throughout the year to earn this award. An upcoming event that CMS will be holding is the Multicultural Festival, which is happening on Saturday, April 4th from 12 to 4. The Multicultural Festival is a chance for you to see the differences between many cultures we have at CMS. There will be food, games, music, and performances, and admission is free. Those are just some of the many reasons why CMS is a great school. Thank you so much for your time.
And we would like to invite you all students to take some pictures with the board and superintendent.
Hey kids, all right.
So you guys can look out right. You can go for
Sorry.
Good job,
There's so
yeah.
many of you. All right, ready. We got everybody and I can see everybody? Yes. Ready. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Looks good. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thanks so much. Great
Yes, we are.
And now we will be moving to there are some lemonades and some snacks at the end of the boardroom. So please take some, enjoy. Good. And while they're doing that, we can move forward and we're gonna move to the next item, which will be 9B, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular board meeting. I want to commend student reports, and Fairwood schoolwork is also displayed in the hallway. I want to thank Mr. Brent Burns for the new mics. Really appreciate them. We're working great. Tonight, let's go to the next slide. We are proud to recognize our Sunnyvale School District future chefs, challenge participants, and celebrate the incredible talent and creativity of all of our student competitors. This year, Sunnyvale joined districts across the country in this exciting competition, and we are grateful to our judges including Board President Peggy Shen Brewster, Kaleo Ayo, Armando Robles, and Aaliyah Wilson, who's here as well. And we want to congratulate Abigail, a fifth grader at Lakewood, for earning first place with her laksa noodles and turmeric chicken, which, by the way, will be featured on our cafeteria menus district-wide. We also celebrate all of our outstanding competitors for their creativity and effort, Samriti, Aria, Elise, Leon, and Felix. And with that, we want to invite Abigail and our board to the front to be able to take a picture. Congratulations, Abigail.
You wear your hat, I love it. So professional.
This for you.
We'll get everybody. All right. I'll trade him out. I'll go where he is. This is a better spot. I'll make sure I can see. Perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Looking forward to having you. And if we can move on to the next slide, we are also proud to recognize Sunnyvale Middle School. And so for being named the 2026 California Distinguished School under the Achievement Gap Closer category. This honor reflects the dedication of our students, staff, families, and their collective commitment to ensuring every student is supported, challenged, and successful. Sunnyvale Middle School's work is a strong example of what's possible when we focus on equity, high expectations, and a deep belief in the potential of every learner. I'd like to invite our board, Principal Vince Iwasaki, if he's still here. Yes, he is, of course. And any staff and families that do this as well to join us in the front. And we have this plaque, and I'll just take a second to read it as well. And it says, Sunnyvale School District Distinguished School Award presented to Sunnyvale Middle School in recognition of outstanding achievement and commitment to excellence on this 26th day of March. And they will also be recognized on Friday, April 24th in Anaheim, the statewide recognition. Congratulations.
Okay.
Do you consider me Sunnyvale family?
Yes.
You're an SNS alumni. I went to school at the same time as his daughter.
There we go.
Right. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And go Spartans.
Here we have cookies and some lemonade and tea for y'all. And then continue, we can go on to the next slide. I just have some additional information regarding our after-school programs. And so here you see on the slide is the difference over the last year versus this year and our planned programs for the following year. So currently our ELOP eligible receive priority enrollment. Any remaining spots per site are filled with new and returning non-ELOP students. And one of the new things that we did differently this year is as of October of 2025 is non-ELOP eligible enrollments are now via lottery as opposed to like automatic admission to the programs. And we know that there's a big need in the community to provide additional after-school support. And so we are now piloting a program at 4 of our schools, and we're hoping, all goes well, that we'll be able to expand this pilot program to 7 schools. And so basically the numbers is, from last year, close to 600 students, we're over 600 this year. And our goal, if we're able to do everything according to plan, we'll be able to service about 800 students the following year. And next slide, please. I am happy to announce that we just got a notification today. I want to thank Dr. Christina Valentine for writing the grant to apply materials for $100,000. And these funds will go towards developing a STEM engineering lab at Columbia Middle School. And we're hoping that with the new construction at Sunnyvale Middle School, we will have future STEM engineering labs at each of our middle schools. So congratulations and a big thank you to Applied Materials for the support as well. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Perfect, thank you. And now we'll move to the next item, 9C, which is board member reports. As a reminder, these reports are meant for the board to communicate district-related activities to the rest of the board. It's a great time to report back about committees or liaison assignments or upcoming events. If activities are extensive, they are often sent to be included in the minutes for this meeting. And we'll start on the way down.
Hi, I will be sending my activities in. I realized that on almost the 2 days after the last board meeting, we had I think it was the next day was the Ed Foundation celebration, the showcase, which I was able to stay up for a shorter period of time, but it was just phenomenal, and people were like, this is the best one yet. I mean, the more the Ed Foundation highlights all the students and the programs, and it's just such a great, it really felt like a community event, and it was really wonderful to see. And then the other thing was I co-chaired the Ledge Brunch, which I was really proud of, and I couldn't believe how tired I was after, but I just want to thank all of you for coming. I know Evelyn, you couldn't make it because of work, but I mean, it was just, in general, it was just great to see so many trustees throughout the county interested in advocacy and hearing from our other elected officials in the area. And then I've done a lot of things. I wanted to give a shout out to President Brewster, Shem Brewster, because she has just been setting up so many meetings, like so many things for all of us to participate in, right? All of the board office hours with staff, which is different this year. We've never been able to do that before, so that was exciting. And then Michelle and I went out with some students and saw some students at SMS. So I just want to acknowledge the effort to coordinate that and to encourage all of us to do it and sign up for it. And she's doing it with us, so it's great. And then the last thing is I went to the DLAC. There was a lot going on at the DO the other night, and I went to the DLAC meeting, and it was really great because teaching and learning was there, and the families were so engaged. They were so interested in hearing about the pilot programs, and from Dr. Valentine, she did a great job of walking everybody through the process and explaining how to give feedback and where the materials were. And then Director Marchand actually gave an excellent, she did her presentation in Spanish, and we had Worthy there as well for translation. But the majority of the attendees were Spanish speakers, and it was really great to have more than just the translation on the computer, but to have someone who was like walking them through the LCAP, in their heritage language, and you could just see they just sort of relaxed and were like, oh, and they were, she broke it down and there were posters and they were putting up Post-its on each of the LCAP items, but afterwards, I think two different of the women there, the parents there came up to me and said, and what is her name? And what is her role? And I said, she's a director, her name's Lori Marchand. And they were so oh, okay. And I saw them like just talk to her so eagerly, so I think it really made a difference. And, I just wanted to commend the district on using that approach for such an important topic. Okay, that's it.
Lots of events, so I'll kind of talk about a few that Bridget didn't talk about. But I mean, all those were great too, right? Just like, you don't need to like repeat. I only got to go to a little bit of Future Chefs, but it's such a fun event. And I appreciate everyone's time putting that together. And then for the CSBA Ledge Action Week, I went to the meeting with our state legislator, Patrick Ahrens. And we know he's supportive, but I have just I was blown away at not just was he like, yeah, because usually they'll say like, yeah, I support that. But it's one thing to just say you support that, but he would then direct his staff, go do this or that, and just the level of engagement. So I'm just gonna read to you, this is what I texted him later that day. And I just said, in all my years with the school board, I have not experienced a state legislator so engaged and truly doing the work to actively support education to the level you just demonstrated. It was just phenomenal. So I just wanted, I think we all kind of know that, but just seeing the level of, yes, I'm supporting, and these are all the things I'm gonna do support, was just phenomenal. And then the last thing I wanted to share, it wasn't actually just giving us some highlights, so it was what Bridget talked about. We went to SMS at lunchtime, and they had a little wheel that Bridget had that they spun, and they got to get a little treat. And if they answered a question, the two questions they could decide between was, what's one of your hopes and dreams? And the other question was, what's something you wish the adults at your school knew? So it was so great, right? We've got a huge variety, and I just wanted to kind of highlight, give a little summary of it. So lots of them talked about the friendly and inclusiveness at Sunnyvale Middle School. It was really fun when they kind of talked about their hopes and dreams. There was one who, her dream is to become an accountant like her cousin. Someone else's dream was hopefully to be able to play soccer in college. Then this one was a cool hope and dream. They kind of connected it to school, and they said they hope that the school stays friendly and inviting for their younger sibling who's going to be coming there soon. So I thought those were really great. And then kind of, a few areas of improvement, and I think the ones that we unfortunately know and are trying to work on, but it's tricky. One was the boys' bathrooms are messy. And then the other one, which is unfortunate, is several of them commented about how there are too many racial slurs that they hear on campus. And I know our staff is aware of it and working on it, and it's a constant challenge. But those were kind of some of the things that more than one student brought up, so I kind of wanted to share that out. And yeah, that's all myself.
Hi, I sent in my activities, but there's a lot of things going on in our school at Fairwood. We're preparing for our big walkathon that's coming up, and everyone's working hard to get it prepared. We're also organizing our Goodwill Drive, yard sale, and our first pop-up booth, and we've been getting a good enough amount of registrations to hold a booth. So that's really exciting. That's coming up on May 23rd. I attended the CMS PTSA meeting, and it was nice to see Camila there. She's the president this year for the PTSA, and she's doing a great job in encouraging parents to come and let their voices be heard. So that way, all cultures have a voice, and they could share their ideas of different events that they could do. So I'm excited to be at CMS next year, but I'll be sad leaving Fairwood also. My daughter was excited going to the 5th grade field trip to CMS, and she came home, she said, oh, I get to pick, electives, and so she has a form and she's gonna fill it out, and we looked at it, so it was pretty neat to see that. I also attended the Mariachi Showcase in San Jose with Dr. Valentine. She she was really busy. She was really busy there, and it was nice to see all the different schools come and perform their dances. You know, schools from all over different places. Salinas was a far place, and everyone was up there. They were all proud doing their dances, and you know, the choreography was just outstanding to watch each school be up there and just smile and be proud of what they're doing. And I know that the students, I was talking to a couple of them, and she was saying that, yeah, I wake up early on Wednesdays, it's, you know, late start day at CMS, and they go and practice, and that's, you know, that's a lot of work to wake up early for a young student, and to go and practice, but, you know, it's all worth it, they loved it. It was fun, and that was at the Mexican Heritage in San Jose, yeah. And I also went on my first board office hour meeting with Peggy, and it was nice to, you know, to be there and to hear the voices of staff, and just knowing that we could be their voice to make sure that they're heard, and that to make sure that they're, you know, that they are valued, and to support them in the classrooms, you know, with the children, because the classrooms is, the children are in the classroom, and we are supporting the kids in every which way. And the teachers are the ones in there, so they need the support, and the principals need the support, so they could support the teachers. And so it's all about everyone working together to help each other make the best, so the children can excel and do the best that they can in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, has been a busy month in the last few weeks. Right after our last meeting, we had our SCF event. I concur with Bridget, it was great. There was a lot of community involvement, a lot of energy, and Seth did a great job putting it all together. One of the participants was Dr. Pascali. I know him for a few years ago, and he has been collaborating with our Seth group, and he donated some of his pieces, and he has been there helping us a little bit with the organization. That was great. Then we had the brunch the next day. It was an amazing job mostly by Bridget. She's amazing as usual. And a lot of legislators were there. We had a great and vivid discussion about the future of education and how everybody's working towards a better public education and how to incentivize our great achievements. Then I've been working very hard with CLSPA, which will have many changes incoming next week. We're also working towards not just the changes, but our Unity event. And we had new slates, our SCCSBA, our local county board organization. And with some of that, we as an LAC or a Legislation Action Committee supported the CSBA statement, which now they are asking for help with legislators to close the gap. So we also wrote a letter about that, and we wrote one with the district. So good things coming, and a lot of work with legislation, and we're looking forward to our activities next month, where we'll be joining to coast to coast and working more on public education. And well, with that, we'll finish our.
Peggy.
Oh, and Peggy.
Oh, hi. Hello. So I want to also celebrate the SEF showcase. I want to highlight Jesse Jarecki, who did a monumental task in bringing that forth. It was a wonderful event. Bridget, thank you for all your work with Ledge Action, just all the coordination and making everything come alive and having everyone show up at the right time was fantastic. Always such a great event. Very, very tight. And I love like all the QR codes. I'm like, that's Bridget. She's making those things happen. Some things I've really enjoyed are outside of our district is I've been able to attend some of the Hoffman Award the validation visits, like for the different districts that won, and those have finally been announced. And so I wanted to highlight just a few of those. I finished up the last of the environmental education program with the County Office of Education, where they have adaptive ways of including everybody outside and with environmental education. I was very inspired by them. Another site I visited was August Boger Middle School, and that is part of Mount Pleasant Elementary School District. They have this Leaning In initiative that's about improving outcomes for socioeconomically disadvantaged students and multicultural students through civic engagement and civic education and engagement. And I got to say that being on that campus, just the murals were very inspiring. Just everywhere, it's colorful pops, but also you'd look around and you'd see, these just, like motivational, inspiring words, and then you talk to the students, and they are doing the work, and talk to them about, has America lived up to its dream of the promise of everybody has these opportunities, and those are some really interesting conversations. So I was really, really inspired by them. As well as Wilcox High School, they have a newcomer ambassador program wherein students that already speak the same language as newcomers come in and give tours and really support with tutoring other students coming in, and it just feels like community there, and it's all driven by the students there. There's just a couple teachers that were like, support. And so I was really, really inspired by seeing those students, and I just love that those teachers were just opening the way for the students to be leaders, and they could see that they weren't the students that were always necessarily like signing up for leadership classes or raising their hand for everything, but they saw the leadership in them, and then having them participate and build this program, you could really see them brighten up and build confidence. And also just the celebration of multilingualism and not seeing, speaking a second language or multiple languages as a deficit, but that celebration really affected the whole culture. And I was very inspired by that as well, using our students to support other students and building community with that. And then finally, just want to touch on some of the really awesome things that are happening at every school site. It's a very, very active time of year where there's like, walkathons and talent shows and performances. I actually sent this to our group. I went to Lakewood Talent Show, and they had a danza folklorica performance, which I didn't even know they had. And so I was talking to the teacher there, and she said that it was Coach A, he did that. But then I went over to Ellis Walkathon, and he was in like this blow up inflatable costumes, and that was Coach A. So he was at both sites, and it was kind of fun seeing his work at both of those sites. So I'm really been enjoying being on the campuses, tasting the food. Abby, if she's still there, I hope you're still there, but you're very articulate, and your food is so good. And I love that you could describe that how you stop the eggs from cooking by using ice, usually, shocking, but they didn't have any ice. So you put it in the freezer, and it turned out beautifully. I would love that in a bowl of my ramen any day. So again, just really happy to be on school sites and to be with students. Thank you to all the staff and teachers that are coming out to our office hours. That means a lot as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we move to the next item. We have item 9D. We will now move from reports from the Sunnyvale Education Association, our local CPA union. If there are any representatives of SEA wishing to speak right now, it's the time. Okay, seeing none, we move to item E, which is from the reports from the California School Employees Association or Classified Union. If there are any representatives of CSEA wishing to speak, this is the moment. Okay, seeing none, we move forward. 9F is Sunnyvale Education Foundation. We will now move to the reports from the Sunnyvale Education Foundation, or SEF. Are there any representatives of SEF wishing to speak? And I see that the president is here. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, everybody. First, forgive me for my casual attire. Thursdays are my school garden day, and I chose to eat dinner rather than change into cleaner, fancier clothing. But my message here, Grow More Gardens, is a nice segue. I want to thank everybody in the district, across the district, our community, for joining us about 2 weeks ago for our annual showcase, the theme of which was growing together. And it is such an honor to see how we are growing together as a community, as a district and an organization, schools, parents, students, all of us moving forward. And it's such a pleasure. I want to give a special shout out to Superintendent Crossway. Thank you for coming and speaking at the event. We really appreciate it. To Brant Burns and his team and facilities and operations, such fantastic support, really appreciate it. Everybody at Ellis, administration, all the way down to students and such, were just fantastic in their support, and to everybody who attended. It was such a lovely event, and I appreciate the kind words. We look forward to continuing to grow sustainably in future years and having such wonderful events. I want to also give a shout out to one of the programs that is near and dear to our heart, and I'm here tonight to remind you and our general community that the Sunnyvale Education Foundation, from our very beginning, has been a strong supporter of 5th grade science camp, and we are continuing in our efforts to try to figure out how we can continue to support that, what options are out there. And I invite the community to follow along with the developments related to the impending renovations and disruption potentially to programs, or what's going to happen with Walden West and Science Camp. And so we have set up a Google group, and we're inviting people to sign up and stay in touch. Find out what's happening. We're not here to criticize. We're here to see where we can work together and come up with creative solutions out there. So I just want to give a message to everybody to please do reach out. We have a link on our website, or you can reach out to any of our board members. We can send you a link to join this mailing group, and we put out some occasional updates. SEF supports Science Camp because it reflects so many of the things that we love and hold near and dear to our organizational hearts. It is such a beautiful, unique opportunity for students. It builds confidence, it sparks curiosity, and it shows learning in a whole new light. And of course, the Sunnyvale Education Foundation supports and enriched high-quality education for every student, and that often happens in those slightly unusual times. When children think back, when we think back on our own educations, oftentimes it's not the day-to-day routine things that we know are so fundamental to academic achievement and such and make a huge difference, but it's those little special moments, those field trips, the outings, the assembly, the speaker, the visit from the international students, all those things that made a difference in thinking that school was a place where they belonged, where they could truly explore and discover something new. And when you do things with your peers, it hits differently, you feel it differently, and you really know that you have potential beyond what you could see in yourself. And Science Camp is one of those just fantastic opportunities to really nurture all of those features. So with that, thank you for your support ongoing. I do have some money to bring, but I don't have the check with me tonight, and I still have the big check to give. So that'll be at our next check-in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, we move to the next item. Is number 10, public comments. We are on this agenda item now, and if there are any members of the public wishing to make public comment, please submit a blue card in the room, I have one, or raise your online hand. This portion of the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the governing board on any item of interest for the public. However, provision of the Brown Act Government Code 54954.2A and point 3 preclude any action being taken or any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Time limits allocated for public testimony are 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per public comment. Speakers are asked but not required to give their name and affiliation so that an accurate record is reflected in the minutes. And with that, I have one blue card, and it's for James Ron.
Yes.
Welcome, you have 3 minutes, and there is a timer that's gonna appear on the screen in a moment, and it's gonna be your guide. Perfect, thank you.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is James Ron. My students call me Froggy. You can translate that as Aranita. My affiliation, I'm here tonight as an independent educator, but I've worked in environmental and outdoor education programs everywhere from Colorado to San Diego to Walden West to Switzerland. I am a product of Sunnyvale Schools. Mr. Iwasaki is not here, but his daughter and I actually attended Sunnyvale Middle School at the same time, so I hope that makes him feel old. I also attended Cumberland Elementary, Fremont High School, and De Anza College. I hold a doctorate degree in educational leadership and administration and a master's in business administration. And as I mentioned before, I've worked at a total of 13 different outdoor education sites throughout the country and world. Why this is important is because I learned recently about the impending closure of Walden West. As you guys all probably are, I'm quite concerned. When I was in 5th grade, going to Walden West, participating in that program was an integral part of my experience. And so rather than see things in terms of problems, one of the things that I learned when I was a student in Sunnyvale Public Schools, not necessarily as a result of what I was taught, but possibly in opposition to my teachers, was to create solutions. So I have a solution, sort of. My proposal is if Walden West is not able to sufficiently operate, then I am able to run with myself and my team of experienced naturalists and outdoor educators, an independent program, nonprofit program, which would be able to provide the same services for the same or lower costs as Walden West. And so, yes, this you guys were just submitted to an advertisement. So I would encourage Walden West, if they're able to operate with sufficient capacity, has my full endorsement to be the program of choice for Sunnyvale School District. But in the event that they are not, then I would encourage the administrators and the coordinating teachers to reach out to me. My email address is James, like my name, at jamesron, also like my name.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any comments online? Okay, seeing none. Okay, thank you for that. We move to the next item. We have a public hearing. We have a notice of public hearing consideration of school facilities fee increased by Sunnyvale School District pursuant of Education Code Section 17620.
And for tonight, there's this public hearing is to consider updating the district's developer fees as required. And it's in line with the state's recent adjustment, which took place in January 2026. The current rates are $3.20 per square foot for residential and 52 cents for commercial and industrial development. And the proposed increases are to $3.32 for residential and a 2-cent increase for industrial and commercial. And that is in line and consistent with our agreement with Fremont Union High School District. And these fees are also supported by, needed for the new development and supported by the district's 2024 study.
Okay, with that, we start the public hearing at 7:34.
Did you open
Yeah, I opened it at 7:34, yeah. And now it's 7:35. And with nobody online or here to speak about this item, we are closing right now. The public hearing again is 7:35. And then we move to item number 12, consent agenda items. Consent agenda items, any item on the consent agenda is subject to review and discussion prior to being approved by the board if necessary, and 8 items might be removed from separate action. The public may address the board regarding any item on the consent agenda. If there are any comments pertaining to consent agenda items, please hand in a blue card right now or use the raise hand feature online. And are there any public comments for this item? Okay, we don't see any. Board, is there any motion to approve the consent agenda items 11A through 11E as they are, or there are any items that you would like to be pulled for separate consideration?
I move approval of the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh, do we have to do roll call?
Yeah, I think so.
To do roll call,
Yes, so let's start with Peggy.
Aye.
Bridget?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Peggy?
Evelyn.
Sorry, Evelyn?
Aye.
And me and myself, aye. With that, is unanimous, motion passes. And then we move to the next item, item 13. Action items. We start with item 13A, approval of the resolution of the Board of Education, Sunnyvale School District authorizing the issuance and sale of its 2026 general obligation refunding bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $90 million and authorizing the execution of necessary documents and certificates and related actions. Dr. Crossway?
Yes, so thank you so much. So this item here is proposing to refund, or a more general understandable term, although there are some technical difficulties which I learned today, refinance a portion of the 2013 authorization bonds issued in 2014 and 16 and the 2015 bonds. This refinancing is intended to reduce overall debt service costs, resulting in lower property tax rates for district taxpayers, with all savings benefiting the community. The bonds will be repaid through existing property tax revenues, and all issuance costs will be covered by bond proceeds with no impact to the district's general fund. And I don't pretend to know a lot of this stuff, but we do have Makiko Sato and Erica Gonzalez from Stifel who provided this information as well, and they're also available to answer any questions that you may have as well.
Perfect. If there are any comments pertaining this item? Okay, board, do I have a motion to discuss or to approve the item?
I move approval of this item.
Okay.
I don't need to say the whole long thing, do I?
Okay, I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Okay.
Wait, can we just get a little clarity around how many like sets of bonds we have? They're based on bond measures that we've passed, correct? But I'm looking at we're looking at just not touching the 2024 ones, but we're going to refund the 2013.
That's correct. So the outstanding bonds that are The outstanding bonds that are currently eligible to be considered for a refunding or refinance are the 2013 Series A bonds, the 2013 Series B bonds, and the 2015 refunding bonds. The other outstanding bonds aren't eligible to be refunded in this current year. They have call dates in future years.
And so this results in a cost savings to taxpayers, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming out today.
Right, thank you.
Is there a simple way, like, I was trying to read this stuff, like, how does this, like, I trust you guys in this whole system, but is there a simple way to explain how this works? Like, how are we able to do this refund, refinancing in very, like, very basic understanding for us?
And I will liken it to a home mortgage where you're able to lower the interest rate on your current debt from what you're currently paying to a lower interest rate. So the interest that you're paying on your bonds is lower. We don't like a home mortgage extend the term, so we're keeping that the same. So we're reducing the payments on your existing debt. In this case on a semi-annual basis, but in aggregate, we're lowering the total payments that you originally borrowed back in 2014 and 2016 and 2015. But again, you're just refinancing for a lower cost on your debt, so similar to when you refinance your mortgage and your payments could go down. Is that? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add that it is a time of significant market volatility right now. So I wanted to just mention that even if the board approves the resolution tonight, it's not an obligation to issue these refunding bonds. Erica and I and our team will continue to monitor it and coordinate with the superintendent to make sure that there is sufficient taxpayer savings to make this worthwhile. So I just wanted to mention that because it's a question that comes up frequently.
Thank you. Were you gonna say something more?
I was like, Michelle, did that answer your question or any follow-ups? Happy to answer as well.
No, yeah, that did answer. Well, and that's what I thought it was, but then just as I was reading it and there was refunds, my brain I was like, so that's what I thought it was, but I'm good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So with that, Peggy, or any board member, please, if you want to approve the item, please say aye.
No, everything has to be roll call.
Roll call, sorry, because I'm online.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking Peggy first.
Aye.
Bridget?
Aye.
Aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Abby? Jolene?
Aye.
And myself, aye. With that, is approved. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the next item. 13B, the adoption of resolution R 2622 in the matter to impose and increase school fees on residential and commercial industrial development projects pursuant of Education Code section 17620.
Yes, and this is the information I shared earlier regarding the public hearing. It's an opportunity for us to adjust our redevelopment fees based on the state action from January 2026, increasing by 12 cents for residential and 2 cents for commercial and industrial.
Perfect. If there are any comments regarding to this action item 12E, please raise your hand right now or bring a blue card here. Okay, seeing none, board, is there a motion to approve this item and to be able to discuss if there is any discussion?
I move to approve 13B, resolution R 2622. Thank you.
Any second? No?
I'll second.
Perfect. Okay, and with that, if there is any discussion before this? Okay, then we move to a vote. We start by Peggy.
I'm sorry, I did have a quick question about this before we vote. Is this a standard just increase that happens yearly, or what do we expect in terms of these increases?
Yeah, great question. I don't believe it happens or occurs annually, but I'm gonna defer to Mr. Brent Burns, who has all the additional information.
And I was just thinking as she asked that, this might be the first time for both Peggy and Evelyn doing, because it is a regular thing, whether it's yearly or not, so maybe giving them a little bit of back information too.
Yeah, so to address the first question, the state allocation board meets every 2 years on even years to adjust the rates based on inflation, and that's where the new rates come from. And then to your question, Ms. Maginot, we have a fee sharing agreement with Fremont Unified. We take about 61.8%. They take the other share. So we divide the new rates, which this year it's $5.38 from the state allocation board. We take 62% of that. Developer fees are collected for the impacts that they have from new developments across the district. Even though a district may be in stable or declining enrollment, there's still an impact from new developments across the district. These fees are justified by our developer impact fee report, meaning that we are collecting the maximum the state will allow while still staying under what the actual impact of students are from new developments.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Mr. Burns, could you, the 61.8%, how's that determined?
So I will say that the fee sharing agreement with Fremont has been in place for far longer than I am, and that was an agreement that was set up, and those percentages were calculated from my best estimation based on the amount of students that we feed into Fremont. And then they have a fee sharing agreement with Cupertino, making up the other portion of that.
Yeah.
So I just wanna let you know, I really feel like we're fortunate to be able to use these funds, because I know that there are districts where they have to sit on their developer fee funds because there's certain restrictions around them, right? It needs to be new construction or there's certain restrictions on how you can use the money. So you've been able to braid it with some of our new construction projects, but there's many districts where they have this money, they're collecting it, even if it's not whatever to whatever degree, and they're not able to use it. So we're extremely fortunate. Can you explain how they're used?
Yeah, of course. So developer fees go into a restricted account. They can only be used on facilities. They cannot be used on operational costs. We write our developer fee justification report, and we frame what they can be used for in Sunnyvale. To your point, Ms. Watson, a lot of times they're used for new construction, modernization, refurbishment. We also wrote in our developer fee justification report that they can be used for outdoor educational spaces, especially those pertaining to TK and kindergarten areas.
Thank you. Anything else? Good. With that, we move to our votes. Peggy?
Aye.
Okay, Bridget?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And myself, aye. With that, the item passes, and now the next item will be review and discuss the 2026-27 board meeting calendar. Oh, no, sorry, I jumped one. The next will be the discussion items, review and discuss the governance handbook. Dr. Crossway?
Sure, so what you have before you is an updated governance handbook that we began conversations about last summer. And this new update includes all of your feedback from study sessions and other areas. It's just to highlight some of those changes, and we'll go through all of them. It includes now updated maps to include the trustee areas. It includes updated language and roles and responsibilities. It includes a section on communication protocols that were clarified. It includes a removed language on restrictions on school visits for trustees. It makes reference to updates on the board meeting formats, including a calendar. And it also includes the updated self-evaluation tool to reflect the actual tool or current tool that was used for the self-evaluation. And then updated language on committees as well as the people identified for those committees from the trustees.
Okay, who wants to start with the discussion?
Do you want to ask for public comment first?
We have to, okay, if there are any comments pertaining item 14A, please raise your hand right now or bring a blue card. Okay, see none. There are no motions because there is no vote on this. It's just a discussion item, so please start with any comments or discussion regarding this item. Bridget?
So I think I had sent an email, I'd asked for the red line, I don't know if that's possible, because I understand that there've been a lot of changes and that there was a red line or, and then what was new was in blue. We had that previously, and looking at just the finished document, it's a little hard for me to track the changes, so if I could get that before we approve it, like that would make me more comfortable. I think it's great to have this document, and especially if we can have it, before June, because if June is going to be, when people will be deciding if they're going to run for office, it'd be helpful. When we were doing our candidate search with Trustee Perfetta, it was helpful to be able to print that out or refer them to an electronic copy of that. So, when you have the information, I think that would be good to have. And then going forward, maybe when we're in our governance meeting tomorrow, it might be good to figure out how we can get the timing right so that we can figure out a way to sign this annually, and I don't know that it has to be I think in the past we had said, oh, we're gonna sign it in January, like when we change our roles, like who's president and who's, who has all the different board roles. And, I was thinking about it, and that's probably not the best time, like maybe the beginning of the school year, or like maybe, as long as it's the same time every year, I think that would be helpful. Because typically, like what we've done in the past is we have someone who's been on the board either for a while or more than a year, work on it with a new member of the board or a new-ish member of the board, and then they bring it back to the board and they discuss it, and it's a great opportunity for like a more experienced trustee to kind of go through the norms again with that person, and for that person to ask questions one-on-one. So it's almost like it's like a feedback and mentoring opportunity at that time. So, and I've been on both sides of it, and I think it's a really good exercise. And then, anyway, so those are just some thoughts. And so I appreciate all the work that went into this. I know there were some meetings, but it's just hard for me to track without the red line.
Well, I guess my kind of question, like, are we hoping to finalize so that the next meeting it gets approved? Like, what's a vision for tonight, having this like item on the agenda?
It was bringing it back to you based on the last edits and for any additional direction, clarification. But to Rita's point, there's no necessarily need or urgency to bring it back on the next meeting for either.
Yeah. Okay. Because I luckily was able to I have like the old red line one so that I could see what things were new from past lead. So I do have a few things so do you want me to share them right now? Okay, so I'm not gonna quite know for sure pages. I'm gonna try to pull it up because I'm looking at this was the one that we had used at the last governance meeting, right? That has the red lines that Peggy and I had done, right? And then there was also some additions. My first thought is I love that new page of the local, state, and federal officials.
Yes.
But I don't love that being the first page. I really think our promise should be the first page. So unless someone has a compelling reason to have that be our first page, I would prefer to have the promise be at the beginning and putting that somewhere else. Was the first one. And then on the page that's the unity of purpose and beliefs. So that's it's like 2 past the promise maybe. Oh no, so right past the promise, the unity of purpose page. So under the we will not, like it needs, so like we used to have 2 we will nots that said, we will not tolerate prejudice, discrimination, or intimidation, deny or hide poor performance for any reason. And I know there was discussion of having or not. I'm fine changing it, but like it shouldn't say we will not based on the current bullets there. It says we will promote, we will address. So I'm just like, if we want to get rid of those we will not, that's fine, but then there should not, it shouldn't say we will not. So whether that's, maybe it just needs to say we will.
What page are you on, Michelle?
It's page 9. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, so page 9.
It's under beliefs.
Yeah, so under the beliefs is the we believe that and the we will not. So it's just, I'm fine with the new wording, but the new wording is not, that was very confusing.
Yeah. What was the old we will not?
So the 2 old ones were, we will not tolerate prejudicial discrimination or intimidation. We will not deny or hide poor performance for any reason. And I know there was, like, we had discussion, like, those are good, but maybe want to be positive. So again, I'm fine with the current stuff. We just need to say we will.
Oh, I think we just take out the we will not. Didn't we do that? So we changed it out to positive language?
Well,
those...
yeah, the bullet. So the bullet says we will not. So like that not needs to come out. So it should say we will. And then it's those 2 we will bullets.
Okay, agree, yes.
Sorry, I'm like looking at you, but then I know when I'm looking at you, it's not actually looking at you.
I know.
It's right there, nothing is pulling you.
I know I am not looking at you, but yes, we are having a conversation. I agree. Let's take that not out. You had other things, Michelle?
Well, yeah, but do you have a comment related to that before we move on?
Oh, go ahead.
So I just related to that, you know, there have been school, like, so we haven't run into it here, but there have been school boards where they had something, and I don't know if it was in their handbook or their norms, or if it was somewhere else where other school districts have sanctioned their members for inappropriate behavior on the board. And so I think that I appreciate having positive language. I don't know, the new we wills are not exactly reflective of the old we will nots. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you say to someone, you want a kid to walk, you don't want them to run, you want them to walk, you say, please walk. But I'm not sure that, like, what was in the old we will not, like, no intimidating other people, don't intimidate the students in the room, don't intimidate the parents or the staff or each other. Like, so what is the, like, is it exactly, are the we wills, you know, it says respect, inclusion, a safe environment. Is there somewhere else, if we're just gonna have positive language, do we need to set habs anywhere that we will hold each other accountable in some way for this or something like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, we won't, like, some sort of language like that. I'm not saying like we should be threatening each other with anything, but I just wonder if, I don't know.
So for you,
I mean, I'm okay with, like, we will address performance openly and constructively. That means we're not gonna hide anything. And to say, like, we won't intimidate anyone, it says we will promote respect in a safe environment. But I'm just wondering if we need to say anything anywhere else in here about the will.
So for you, like,
I mean,
like, because yeah, like, so I think like to me, like, using the word will is a commitment. So whether it's a we will do something or we will not do something, that for me, the word will is like, that's like when you're saying the accountability, like my brain thinks the accountability is still there, or we're just wording it differently. Because it's a will. I mean, it doesn't look like that way. But I did notice as you were talking, we do need to fix, it says discrimination or discrimination. Yeah. And so it needs to say discrimination or intimidation.
That's what I was missing the word intimidation, and I was like,
maybe that's part of it. You're like, it's missing, yeah.
because it just says discrimination twice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what, then I'll be happy. Because I feel like the intimidation thing is a big piece.
Yeah.
I want people to
So
be
yeah, that
intimidated.
word should be there, just, we have the same word twice and I just missed that earlier.
Me too. Okay,
Okay, the next, did anyone have anything on that before I go to the next thing?
So who is in charge of these tasks right now?
I think Jesus is taking note. Oh, well, Peggy and I had gone through it,
I think you're still,
that original.
I think you're still in charge of this, Michelle and Peggy.
But I think,
Sure.
You two are still in the team.
one of the challenges that we have different documents too. So Sue has a document which is now here. but
Yeah.
the one that we were working on is different.
Yeah,
So she's commenting
But I-
on this document.
yeah. I'm just using the old one, but then looking at this piece, I've made notes on this based on the old stuff. Okay, so again, I don't know exact pages, but I'm guessing, so if you go to the very bottom of the same page, so see how it says superintendent responsibilities? And then there's a list and it like goes on to the next page a little bit too. But then I think like 5-ish pages, it might not be exactly right, like 5-ish pages later, there's a thing that says superintendent duties. And this is something that Peggy and I had not caught earlier, so this is a new thing, sorry to bring it up now. But they seem, I didn't look at it closely, but it seems like, why do we have superintendent responsibilities in one place and then superintendent duties in another place?
Because we have all the duties later.
Yeah,
They're
like, do
all
we need that
separated.
responsibilities list right there?
I would say no.
Cause Peggy, we didn't talk about that, right?
No, we said we're going to incorporate the language from the contract and then, but we didn't talk specifically about that. So I do think that there's a redundancy there.
Yeah, so then we maybe take out this list of 1 through 10 superintendent responsibilities and just keep the superintendent duties, which I think are now Goodiel's language, not the old language, right? Like it looked like it was different than the old version.
I am nodding along to agree with you.
Okay. And Jesus, are you taking notes of these changes?
I am.
Okay, then the next one isn't till on the vice president, the board vice president duties, so it's right before the superintendent duties that we are keeping, so that will be page 15. The second bullet under meetings in the beginning, it says consult with superintendent and board president in packet review. I don't think we have packet review anymore, right?
It's an agenda planning meeting or something.
Okay, so maybe we just say consult with superintendent and board president for agenda planning or something like that.
Yes, sounds good.
Okay. Then, the superintendent core competencies, Goodiel, did you want to keep that? The piece that's right under the duties. I think that was one that I think Peggy and I were like, if you want to keep it, great. If you don't want to, like, we don't know where that list had originally come from.
Would you remind me the page?
It's page 15. So it's on the same page with the superintendent duties where we pulled stuff from the contract. And maybe you could just decide later too. Maybe you just want to make a note and
Yeah, I
decide
would
if
say
you want to
no,
get rid of
just
it.
for the notes, yeah, let's just bring that.
Okay, and then I think it's just the next page, the protocols. So now page 17, protocols, formal structures and processes. So on the continuing education bullets, on our old one, we had a bullet that has been taken out.
Sorry, where are you?
So page 17, the protocols, formal structures and processes. And then it's towards the end of that page, it's the continuing education, see page 22 and 23. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3 bullets there. The old revised one had 4 bullets, and the other bullet was when out-of-state travel is involved, the approval will take place in the same manner for other employees. I assume we want that in there, but if someone wanted it out, like, I don't really care. But it seems like that is helpful information.
Yes, and I think that's also aligned to our policy.
Yeah.
So the out-of-state travel, comes to the board for approval.
So we want to add that piece back in. Jesus, do you want that phrasing, or do you want me to just give you this page afterwards? You have it? Okay. Okay. Then continuing just under the engaging with school communities.
Page 17 or 18.
It might go on to 18, but I think it's still on 17.
Yeah.
So the third bullet, so yeah, on page 17, the third bullet, notify the superintendent before scheduling any private meetings with staff or principals. On our old one, we had that one crossed out because I think we had talked about nobody should really actually be doing private meetings with staff or principals. But if we want to leave it there, I don't really care. I'm just going off of our old notes. So input, that third bullet, keep it there or pull it out.
People have private meetings with staff or principals. People on the board. I mean, not like nefarious meetings or something, but like, you know, but it is like I do usually, I mean, every time I would say, superintendent, I'm gonna go try to have a conversation, we're talking about this or whatever, but.
Okay, so leave it there.
We're having office hours now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But that's different than private meeting. But yeah, I'm fine. If you guys want to leave it there, that's fine. I just, like I said, just our old notes had it crossed out. And I think, oh wait, no, not quite the last.
I have a question about that. So like, do we think, like, is that like, I guess it's a question for the superintendent, like, so how much of that, like, what's your expectation on being notified of a conversation? Because I could see there being very different kinds of conversations, right? Like, conversation about like, you know, meeting about a topic that's, you know, non-directive versus having a meeting, you know, and like being very directive.
I guess my question is, why initially was this a necessary line to add in the governance handbook, and were there any issues or concerns about this happening in the past?
It would have been before our time.
Yeah.
So part of the.
It hasn't been an issue that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so my speculation is that it might have also been done to protect the principals in their time at school sites from being requests coming their way about whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's good practice to notify the superintendent in advance if there is, but you know, when you're at school sites, people are gonna talk to you and that's expected. So I don't need that notification. However, if there's something that comes up that it's important for me to know some of these conversations in order for me to do my job of making sure that all 5 of you have some of that information, and that's where it's a little tricky as well.
So maybe we leave it in there just as a general guideline, as something like when we go over it to so you can kind of talk about that nuance. What do you think, Peggy?
Well, I think it's kind of tricky because we were talking about before scheduling a private meeting, but as we had said, sometimes meetings just happen like while we're in each other's presence, and I didn't notify Goody I was talking to, you know, Stephanie, but we were just standing around, we're talking. So I mean, I agree with like what was the intent, why was that in there, and I just want to make sure that we have clear expectations and communication between us and Dr. Crossway. So I don't know if this particular bullet is necessary, because, well, I don't know. I will defer to Dr. Crossway and what you'd prefer in terms of communication and expectations from us.
Yeah, so I recommend that we remove the bullet from here. I think that notifying the superintendent, I mean, one is for you to reach out to schedule private meetings is probably not necessary. I think that you always go through meetings so that I can communicate with the board as well as the school sites. So that's what would be my recommendation.
Do we want to have just a bullet? Because I think the stuff I think nobody's at least currently scheduling these kind of official private meetings, but the more casual. So do we want a bullet in there that's something more along the lines of keeping the superintendent informed of conversations with staff?
Yeah, and we have a different section, which is the communications, and it does have that language in there, so that if there is something that comes to your attention, to redirect them back to the source or to bring it to the superintendent's attention.
Okay, so what is the conclusion? Are we fully taking it out or putting in a
Yeah, we're
adjusted?
taking it out because it's.
Taking it out.
Okay, so you got that, Jesus? Okay, then I think this is the last one. And it's not necessarily a direct change right now, but just the Appendix A, I cannot tell you what page it is. But Appendix A, the cheat sheet for the regular board meeting, I just know later on the agenda, we might be adjusting what our agenda like pattern looks like. So we just will need this to be adjusted to whatever we decide that is. So I would just make a note that the cheat sheet for regular board meeting, before we approve it, have it line up with our new whatever pattern. Page 25 is what Evelyn is saying it's on. Thank you. And I think that was, let me just, yeah, I think that was all my stuff. Okay. Yeah. So it'll come back to us with the like line outs. Yes, right? And then after that, we'll approve it, yeah.
I just see a highlighted sentence on page 26, need to add details about meeting ending times.
I think that's old language, so we'll remove that as well.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I wanted to say like the board member responsibilities are on page 9. There's just like a little teeny tiny section on board member responsibilities before it goes into a bunch of other stuff. And then it's kind of weird because I was wondering like when I was looking at, because I didn't print it out, and it was kind of weird because there's then that's when it has superintendent responsibilities, right? And then it goes back to governance team norms, which is all of us together. And then governance team expectations, self-monitoring, governance team organization. Then it goes to trustee areas. So, and then it has the trustee areas, and I'm hoping that it would be like, side-by-side pages or something if you opened it, but then it goes back to board member responsibilities on page 13. So I'm wondering if, I understand grouping it so that like it goes trustees, and then there's a little bit of, we're gonna take the thing about the superintendent out, and then it goes to governance team. But maybe while we're just talking about trustees, maybe the CSBA page, and it's big, right? It fits all on that one thing. So maybe that is just organized up there. And then my other.
So moving page 13 to.
Where it talks about board member responsibilities, because they're both titled board member responsibilities. One's called they're both titled page, page 9 and 13.
Okay, go, sorry.
Page 9 and 13 are both titled board member responsibilities. I don't know if would be a reason to delete one of them.
So would you take, so essentially you would do page 9, superintendent responsibilities comes off right there. Then page 10 would be the current page 13. And then page 11 would be the beginning of governance team norms.
What you may also consider, because you have your own responsibilities and then you have CSBA, you can also just make reference to the CSBA as a link.
Yeah, or have it as one of the appendices, right? Okay, and then my other thought is that.
Right, so we're making that, did you get that, Jesus?
No.
Okay, so on page 9, the little section that has board member responsibilities, have it be like a link to the appendix, or say see appendix.
See also CSBA.
So then the current page 13 won't be 13, it'll be a link or appendix or something. Okay.
And then my other thought is that there is a lot of different documents kind of stitched together in here. So, I appreciate like trying to get things onto one page, but the font is different in in many of the pages, right? And so I think if there was an opportunity for us to go through and check in with like Kathy Besser, who does all of our print media, right? Like what is the font or I think Aaliyah probably has a package, right, already of like, what is our font?
Open Sans.
Open Sans, is that what you're saying? Yeah, so like if everything is, and like what point, right, for printed material, so we have that already developed, we paid for that branding. So this would be a good opportunity to use that branding throughout, so whatever it is, we,
How did that happen?
so would that be possible to look at the, yeah, would that be possible to look at the, have it fit with our branding?
Perfect. With that,
Sorry, I have some things to add. So there's some appendices in the back, like the organizational chart and like the governance calendar that I don't think are applicable right now, and I would like to remove them for the time being. This the organizational structure, like the chart, some of the people are wrong now, but as I was told that that was made for the board to see the organization, but it doesn't make sense to me. So while we're figuring things out a little, I'm on page 54 at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to just remove those. That's my suggestion. The governance calendar, I feel like there's some changes we need to align with, evaluations and LCAP, SIPSAs, and making sure that it's aligned with our district priorities. So I would like to just remove them for now. If this is, we're going to be using these documents to kind of show to prospective board members. I don't think this is clarifying. So my suggestion is to remove kind of questionable aspects. There's some duplication of communications protocols, like on page 20, and then we come back to it on page 46 as well. So I think there's aspects that we can just remove, especially near the later part of the document. The governance protocols as on page 45. I don't remember reviewing those with Michelle. And
Peggy, is that the part that's part of CSBA's get to know your district packet template? Those might be. I'm not on it right now, but that's what I'm guessing.
It's part of the what every board member should know.
Yeah, that's a CSBA, at least an old, and maybe CSBA doesn't currently use it, but that's a CSBA template that we pulled in.
Yeah, I don't think we should be using it because it's not accurate, and some of the language is fractured, kind of like it's fragmented and doesn't make sense when reading it. So I'm just, instead of going through at each point, if we're looking to approve at some point, or I guess we should figure out the timeline for approval, I would rather remove such ambiguous language than approve it as is without looking at it with a finer tooth comb.
So I have a thought on that. So Peggy, like, are you seeing the governance protocols, like placing like everything, or like from page 44, or just?
Yeah, that's the area that I was reading. For example, when it says responding to staff or community complaints or concerns at board meetings, it says see the Brown Act. And I don't think that's very helpful, right? I mean, does that mean don't respond? And then the next one that's right below that, also on page 45, communication between amongst the board and superintendent. I think that was rewritten into Guriel's the communications protocols. So I just think there's a lot of redundancy that makes things ambiguous when you see it in many times. But like, as you were saying also, Bridget, about, here's the duties and responsibilities, but then we hop back to duties and responsibilities. It's, I prefer to see a more streamlined presentation for clarity's sake.
So Peggy, you're saying essentially starting from on page 44 starting from the about governance team operations and then everything below that, right?
Yeah.
I guess technically you don't want to do everything because then getting to page 48, you want to keep the board member benefits probably, unless we have it somewhere else. Actually, that's all wrong, what's on there anyway, so pull it.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could maybe ask Peggy and Michelle to go through this section. Would that be okay? Or like because there might be some things, like if it's supposed to be at a glance and then come back. And then the other thing was, Peggy, I think I might have been the person who asked for the org chart.
Uh-huh.
When I was a new board member, it was really, I didn't know everybody at the district office and I wasn't really sure like how people related to people. So, and it took a while to get it. So even if it's not quite right, like, it's like knowing that, kind of even knowing like under what umbrella, like what is teaching and learning, right? And who are now there's 4 directors under teaching and learning and who they are and like just to the general roles. I think that's very helpful for a new board member. So it doesn't, and I think if you go onto a lot of other school districts' websites, they do have like an org chart actually available with people's pictures on it, so I think that an org chart I know you're saying that things are maybe
well, they're inaccurate right now. So if we're gonna keep them, then we should
they should be accurate.
Reflect.
Yeah, and I think I'm with like Bridget, like to me, this was one of the most like we didn't have it in there, but I like had asked for it when I got on the board. So my recommendation is we don't pull it, we just ask for it to be updated and then knowing that we probably in a few months will need to update it again.
And I had asked that it not be a screenshot anymore.
Yeah.
Why it's still a screenshot. It's really hard to read, it doesn't print well, and it just has to be typed and reformatted. And it's a
Maybe it could
pain.
be updated with however it is right now.
Yeah, and one of the things that you can also consider is as an appendix where we update it every fall or summer.
Yeah.
And to your point, we can easily take pictures and include that information as well.
Yes.
It could also mean, sorry, go ahead, Peggy.
Oh, no, I just wanted to agree that when you go to other districts' websites and you see pictures of people and the organizational structure, that's very helpful.
Yeah, I would say it could even also, unless someone feels differently, the actual page doesn't even necessarily have to be in here, because I think most people will do a digital version. So if we happen to have it on our website, because then the website's also going to be updated more regularly than it could just be a link, unless, I don't know if Bridget hates that idea, but a link to the organizational chart.
But it could be a list here. Like it could be formatted differently, like as a list in the handbook, so it prints better or it lays out better and you can see it vertically or something. And it could be on the website, it could be a word chart
So do you think that Michelle and Peggy should take another view of this and bring it back?
Well, I think the only thing Peggy and I are gonna look at is that the section, I don't know what page it starts on, probably 42-ish, 43. But the section that is the template from at least CSBA's old thing, because that's in the page. So I think Peggy and I will go, just not the whole thing, we're gonna go through that. Because we think like we determined what we need to get rid of just now, but in case, like what Bridget said, in case there's stuff in there that's important, that's not somewhere else, Peggy and I will go through it. Yeah, Peggy, does that work? That we'll essentially go through that stuff.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I prefer to mark up a hard copy. I'm having a really hard time with the electronic copies that are like different formats and also different versions. We had a hard time just tracking which one we were working on. So I'd prefer to just work with hard copies. I know that's not your preference, but like it's really, it's getting kind of confusing with all the different aspects, because like parts that we reviewed aren't included here are aspects that we did not review. That was not part of what was in our review. Like we would have reviewed it the first time if it was. So then it's kind of guess, like surprising to see it pop back in when we thought it wasn't in
I
there.
think those were there, Peggy, and we just hadn't had time, and I think
Oh.
at the whole big meeting, like we just didn't have time to go through the whole thing, right? So I think it was
Yeah.
always there, we just made an intentional choice, we're not gonna look at that right now.
Okay, well, I'm happy to review that chunk of it with you, Michelle, and make sure that the important parts are integrated somewhere, or it's just slimmed down so that it's relevant and it's clear.
Yeah, so we can do that and then send that to Jesus, and then he can include that in a marked up version that everyone can see before we do the final.
Yeah, and can I just bring back also to the current district issues? I don't think that chart right now that's on page 43, that doesn't seem to be relevant to us. So that's something else that I would like to propose we remove.
And then I do agree with you, Peggy, that we should remove that calendar because it is so different. And I think maybe once we have like Dr. Crossley and you and Isabel are working through like agenda planning for the year and like where things fall, maybe we can include it later. But the way it is now, like it's not like there are things on there we don't do, or it's just hard to read.
Yeah.
There's so much in there, and it's meant to be printed on like 11/17 or something.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to do a much better and thorough document that's organized in a way that makes sense. But there's also a lot of fluidity right now with our organization. And so whilst there's kind of that fluidity, I'd rather pare it back and then build it back in when there's more clarity, as opposed to like keeping in ambiguous language, just generally.
And the calendar might be a fun summer project for somebody.
So if there isn't anything else, I did want to bring it back to like the timeline of it. Like when should we be approving this? Because it is very difficult if you're coming in as a new trustee and then kind of being given this document and say, okay, it's like January now, let's approve it. And you haven't really read it, or maybe you did when you're a candidate, but now it's kind of challenging. So I'm interested, Bridget, you suggested maybe a different timeline or going at the line it with the calendar, the school year. So I wonder if anyone else has opinions on that.
Well, I think at the beginning of the calendar year, it makes sense because you're writing in the document who is the president, vice president, et cetera, and all the tasks for that year, which they don't change at the beginning of the school year, but I mean, it's also one option to put at the beginning of the school year.
When do we do our review in December? Is that when we do our annual review?
What do you mean review?
Like of ourselves, like our reflection?
That November governance meeting is
November.
usually when we do our self-evaluation, and then we talk about the plans for next year, and then we actually vote on it in December.
Because I think like realistically, like carving out time to revise it, like that should probably, we should probably give ourselves like the summer or the first part of the year. And with the idea that you're done by January, like that's the goal, right? But it doesn't always work that way, so I don't know.
Well, and I think that also that cadence, I mean, can be however people want it to be, right? But the cadence of, because every other year is an election year, right? So like, and there's not always new people, but often more recently there has been. So the cadence of, right, after an election year, that's the year where you dive into it more with like an older board member and a newer board member. And then the next year when there's no elections, right, then it's like, maybe there's a quick update, but not a whole lot. I don't care when it's done. I mean, I think Isabel did make a good point that like, from the like, who's president, whatever, it does actually make sense to vote on it in like January or February. And it could be, yeah, maybe that like so like say there's like, so like this January, February, it goes, like there might be new people, it gets voted on in January. And then there's a committee who like, it'll probably be less, because we did such an intense this one, but right then like people can look at it. Then you have the whole year to kind of look at it, flesh out, do we want to make any changes? And then every January,
So
it's like it gets fleshed out during the year.
yeah, so
It's
maybe,
not getting fleshed out in January, it gets fleshed out during the year. It gets updated in December after, the new leadership of the board, and then it gets signed in January.
yeah, so maybe we could say, well, we're gonna have this year we'll get it done by the end of May. We'll make sure we adopt it and sign it by the end of May, and then we'll bring it back. We'll make sure it's whatever, if there's any minor adjustments that need to be made, before January, we can do it, and then we'll plan to sign it at the January board meeting, or the December board meeting. What are you thinking? Like at the one where we're all, we
I'm
get our
guessing
office
from a
space, or
staff logistics, it's probably easier for them, I can't see Jesus, but it's probably easier for them to have it ready in January, not December. Yeah, or no?
the December board meeting is kind of light, I mean, it's swearing in.
Just depends because of.
So are you talking about like right after the organizational meeting, and then once those names are reflected in the handbook, then signing it?
Yeah, so really would probably need to be
January.
It should be January. Okay, I think that timeline of let's get something in place by May for this year, and this is kind of a reset year, right? And then in the future, aspirationally, we will have a new one signed every January. Does that sound agreeable to everybody? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're all saying, yes.
Okay, great. And it's and then also I think that we're gonna have to like that responsibility of going through with a new member coming in. We should definitely just volunteer if there's new people coming in, pair up and make sure that they feel comfortable with signing that in January after just being sworn in. So I'm happy to take part in that. I guess I will be more veteran by then.
Okay, and we've been, I think we might be ready to move forward within 45 minutes. You think, okay?
Going, Larissa?
Okay, thank you about that. So we have our comments, and you're gonna, in conclusion, you're gonna be reviewing after page 44 forward to check on that, and the other changes are gonna be made by Jesus. Moving forward, we have our next discussion item, which is 14B, review and discuss of the 2026-2027 board meeting calendar.
So for your consideration is a draft of potential dates for the 26-27 school year. We did take into account CLSBA conference, the AXA Superintendent Symposium, and that it's an election year, and there was one other thing, but I forget at the moment. But to improve transparency for the public, what you're seeing before you is the second and fourth Thursday of the month. But currently, these are regular board meetings. It doesn't take into account governance or special study sessions or events as well.
Okay, with that, if there are any comments from or questions from the public, this is the time to raise your hand or bring up blue card. That's about 14B. There any? Seeing none, then board, any questions or comments related to this item?
So yeah, isn't August 27th during the CLSBA Unity Conference?
It's 27, yeah, I thought we. Did we check it?
I apologize, I think we got the wrong dates here.
Yeah, it is 27.
What is the timeline usually for approval of the board calendar?
We actually have time, so as long as you approve it before the end of the school year, so we actually have time, but I would recommend closer to May so that we can also plan ahead for the following school year.
Yeah, So the sooner we have the dates, the easier it is for like the staff and all of that, just everybody, right, to figure out schedules. So
No,
when,
go ahead, Michelle.
I was just gonna say, when's the AXA thing that you were talking about?
So the superintendent symposium is the last week of January.
Okay. So there's just one January meeting.
And then we would also add in governance dates. Before we had like data dive type of meetings, but we could, we'd want to add in probably some study sessions or special meetings as needed, right? So, but does that not need to be approved with this? This is just regular meetings?
These would be the regular meetings, yeah, and you can schedule those separately, or you can also just choose to identify some of these as a governance if you choose so.
I would say also, again, we can do however we want, but just like kind of past practice on years when there's potentially going to be new board members, we try to have a fairly significant board retreat, governance meeting, whatever you want to call it, towards the end of January, beginning of February, as it's like a new team, kind of building that team. So I think that would be something that wants to be added on there.
That's a good point.
We have the governance ones, yes, Bria?
So for me, if there are things that like, that the president and vice president and the superintendent wanna put on there, like a retreat, before the beginning of the school year or in early January or late January or early February, something like that. The sooner I know about it, the better for me. So if you want to block off more time, I'm sure for Trustee Perfetta as well, because when I think about our just other schedule stuff that we gotta put together. So if it's a all day thing or something like that, which might be which I'm open to doing, I just would need to have some time to plan it, and then other than that, like I'm flexible, so that's it.
Okay, I'll just throw out, actually, when did you send, you said it's the end of January, is that thing that you'll be gone at?
Yes, typically it's the last week of January.
Okay, so Friday, February 5th might be a good date for a governance training, retreat, whatever you want to call it, a governance meeting.
Yeah, and then the other thing was in April, we removed the second one because it's because of spring break.
Yeah, I think that's clear, for the Thanksgiving week and then the holiday months, that there's less board meetings, so that makes sense.
Is the
less regular board meetings, sorry.
From a staff.
Any comment, Peggy?
Oh, I was going to ask about, but I think that there might be some benefit in having one, and I was wondering what's the history of that in our district.
What did she say? Did you?
Having one what? You broke up for a second. Having one what?
A July meeting? A meeting in July?
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually July is essentially the month off to like regroup and then there's the optional summer school tour, and then there's that leadership retreat. But the only year we had July meeting, but I think we did do one meeting this year because UDL was brand new, but literally it was only that and COVID.
But I think they have the management retreat is in July, which I'm sad about because I really love July so much. But
leadership retreat this year.
Leadership retreat, yeah. But I want to go, but I don't want to go, but I want to go. So I'm going to warm myself up to it. But
It's 2 days this year too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I didn't read that closely, so anyway, but I think August is just better for me. Because anything closer to the school year, if we're just taking a couple of days, I would prefer I would do something in August, like before school starts.
And may I add is, we were supposed to remove the 27th, but keep August 13th is what it was.
We don't have to remove the choice.
Well, no, because, it's the CLSBA conference.
Oh, right. Okay, and then, but I was thinking, in the past, I sort of remember Mr. Nishihara giving us some hiring stuff that we had to do in August before school started. Like, a long time ago, right? Hiring stuff, like hiring humans, hiring personnel, and I sort of remember, maybe that was during COVID, but it was like we had to meet before school began to approve the contracts. So is August 13th, when does school start next year?
The 17th, I believe. 17th.
13th.
So we're good.
13th.
Okay, good. It is.
Whose birthday is it?
Yeah.
I'm showing the. Why do I not remember this?
Monday? Yeah, so just for clarification, the first day of students is August 17th, and then the first day of staff returning is the 12th. And I apologize, I do not recall what you're referring to. The thing that popped into my head was maybe some of the trainings, but I'm gonna retract my statement.
So we don't have to approve all the new contracts, we approve them before the school ends?
I think we're fine with the PAOs that we have, because it's signed, so we lock them up, and then your board approval is just the final piece of it, so I think we would be okay.
Yeah, so Michelle will celebrate her anniversary and I'll celebrate my birthday, it'll be a big party.
Together.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask staff, so looking at the June 10 and June 24, I know in past years, sometimes there's been conversation of trying to spread that out because a quick turnaround, but maybe it'll happen on May 27th, so maybe it's fine, but usually there needs to be more than 2 weeks of let's talk about LCAP, let's talk about budget, and let's approve it.
So we might have it would be like our earlier June.
So yeah, I was looking at June 10, June 24, I'm like, oh, that's close, but maybe staff's planning to do the budget and LCAP initial one May 27th, so then it gives more time for adjustments and changes. So maybe we're fine, and just staff needs to make sure that they don't do the 10th and 24th unless they want to be really busy.
So Ellen.
I'm going to suggest, in our next check-in, Dr. Crossway, with Isabel and I, perhaps we can look at the calendar and the document, the compliance and documentation and the reports that are due and the timeline of that. I know that our meetings had been kind of scheduled to cater for those documents and those approvals. So it would help me maybe up on the wall where you have all the calendars for the whole school year to see what are those points where we need to have things at a certain time and make sure that there is enough space around that for staff to get the work done and for us to have discussions and also approve without feeling like, oh, you have to do it now or else it's too late or else we're going to be behind deadline.
Yes, happy to do that. But the reality is that we have to work around the board meeting dates. The board should be meeting around our needs in terms of deadlines, because we're always going to have different deadlines at different times throughout the year. And again, for full transparency for the public, it makes it easier for them to know second and fourth Thursday of the month, the board will have meetings at those dates.
And then just something else that might come up tomorrow as well, but if we're looking at a leadership retreat happening in July, I want to make sure that a board meeting happens prior to that so that as we are realigning in terms of district priorities, evaluations, and those falling in line, that we are at the top of that, so that there is clear guidance going forward. And so that it, in the past, we've seen, oh, there's a work plan already and the admin already underway. And the board is kind of too late to get into that loop. And that's not how the way things should be. And I'm happy to see that we have kind of a new alignment, but that is a reason why I was thinking about a July meeting. So maybe that's something that we can discuss
Maybe
further.
that can happen in June.
Or May, June.
Or May, yeah, Bridget?
Well, I also think that there's an opportunity with like how we're setting the superintendent goals and evaluation and how that's going to be rolled out through the rest of the organization. So I think that there's, and like going through the superintendent evaluation process throughout the year, so that like right now they're planning for next year. So like if we have a meeting in July, that's too late.
Yes.
Like we need to be like, our input into what happens next year is now through the superintendent goals and evaluation that we're setting up that are gonna be rolled out to everyone. So I feel like, I understand, like we were pretty close last time, we had some feedback, and now I understand we're gonna maybe putting in some like specific benchmarking from Orenda into it. So I feel like the leadership, and also the leadership, hopefully, like, we will all be in sync with, as a governance team, so that what happens in the leadership meeting, even if we weren't there, would be in sync with our governance team thing. So, like, that's for me, I don't feel like I would need a meeting right before the meeting. Like, I could see having conversations, or like what's happening, or, you could be, as president, you could be part of that like planning process, giving feedback and whatever, but I don't necessarily, or, the superintendent could ask us for feedback, or we could randomly provide feedback, but I don't know that, I feel like we're moving towards more synergy, and that we're putting a process in place that will do that, rather than, again, I think a meeting in July would be too late.
I think we might be in a unique year now. Since we are in transition, we have a new superintendent that has not been here yet a year. And so we don't have an established rhythm of when the board meetings are compared to superintendent evaluation, compared to the rest of the district priorities and admin evaluations. And so I just suggest let's just talk about this more when we're tomorrow, when we're talking about superintendent evaluation, so we can see how that aligns with scheduling. And we have time, like Dr. Crosswhite said, with this calendar. So I think just generally right now, the second and fourth Thursdays seem to work for people the way that they're listed right now.
Except I would also like to say that if we cut the 27th meeting, I think we should have 2 meetings in August.
Well, can I give an idea? So, because we're talking about governance, so I was gonna suggest a governance meeting on August 20th. I don't know if that works for your envisioning something different, but that was what I proposed.
And Evelyn has a question?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that I was looking at the meeting dates, and it does work for my schedule right now, but like Bridget said, if we have other, special board meetings, governance meetings, if we could have that, ahead of time, so we could mark that on our calendars, make sure that we all can attend at the same time. And then regarding the governance handbook, I thought I read in there that meetings are the 1st and 3rd, but it's actually 2nd and 4th, right? So
That was the old,
but that's on here too, it was on the.
Yeah, so that's the old one.
Yeah.
And then at our last meeting, we talked about, or whatever, last governance meeting, we talked about.
Right, but did it get changed?
Oh, that needs to get
in the new
changed,
one, yeah, that's what I heard,
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
So do we want to potentially add that, the August 20th, Thursday night governance?
But I don't know if it has to be governance, maybe that's something that, Pedro and Isabel and,
Yeah, I agree that we need another.
Because it might be something else that we want to do. Because governance, governance is really, it's so nuts and bolts about like ourselves, and that might be a meeting where we have some data, or we have some plans we wanna share, make it, you know, like something
Like
more.
a study session
Like a
idea.
study session that's publicized or broadcast and translated.
We can work that in. There's just one thing I heard when I was listening to the high school district board meeting the other day. They talked about they approve calendars by the calendar year so that if there were new members coming in, then they would have input as to the meeting dates going forward. And I thought that was interesting. And I don't know if that's something that, like, if we have somebody else come in and like they just can't make these dates, does that mean they shouldn't even be running for office? Or would we, as a governance team, kind of, you know, flex to meet that person because they were who was elected by the community?
I think the regular board meetings, I think that's something where that would be really difficult to change, like on a short notice. Like I think, or for a schedule. So like when we did our candidate outreach, we said, these are the board meetings and these are the special board meetings or governance things. Like we have a little more flexibility with some of them more than others. But like the regular board meetings are set up around the LCAP and other things. And so like for me, I think it's actually helpful to look at it and say, can I make these meetings, right? It's 2 meetings a month. Can I like, will that work with my schedule?
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up because I never heard that before. I just thought it was interesting.
Well,
But I think,
for example, like the times, we've changed the times regularly to accommodate people's schedules, right? Like,
right.
So.
Moving up or later.
Okay, Evelyn?
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment about when I was running to be appointed, and I was looking at all the board meeting dates, and I thought, okay, I could do this, but I really can't do this, and this would be my the breaking where I would say, yes, I could, you know, I'll run for the board or not, and it was that overnight field trip that I really had to go on for my daughter. So thank you guys for accommodating me and rescheduling that day.
Good. Okay, and with that, we're moving forward. It's 8:52. So we're gonna move forward to the next item, which is 14C, review and discuss of the board meeting agenda format. And for that, Dr. Crossway.
So for your consideration are some suggested changes to the format of the board meeting agendas. Given that we're moving forward with student representatives, it would be important for them to be here for action items. And additionally, one of the things that I would recommend is that the action items are of bigger priority and involve discussions and presentations for the transparency of the public. You have an opportunity to have those at the start of the meetings, and you do not have to have people waiting to the end of the meeting to make public comments on those. And then the other thing for your consideration is, as opposed to having people wait to make public comments on items that are coming at a later time on the agenda, when you first open it up for public comments, people can make public comments. They know what time roughly public comments will take place, and then they don't have to stay here 2 to 3 hours to be able to address the board before you take something into consideration. So those are just some of the things that are coming before you for discussion and for us to get some feedback so that we can make adjustments. And ultimately what we do is, whether it's the calendar, the agenda format, is we want to then come back and bring updated bylaws in the board policy and the board bylaws so that it's aligned to the governance handbook, what we're doing, and in the bylaws as well.
With that, if there's any member of the public who would like to make a comment, please bring a blue card or raise your electronic hand.
None.
Okay, seeing none, we can start discussing this. I'm okay with moving the action items first. Maybe we could, in looking at the public items or public discussion item, maybe we can separate it by sections, so action items all together, or public comments all together, or discussion items all together, instead of having it only at the beginning. I don't know, that's another option. Faith?
Yeah, so the way it's presented now, having the I like the accessibility for public, because like Dr. Crossway said, people can just come and make public comment even on things that are agendized or non-agendized at the beginning. And then they have another opportunity also to come back and make a public comment, but instead of like for each action item a separate opportunity, then it's just like one time for all of like 14 ABCD. So there's multiple opportunities, but also I think it's more predictable for people that want to come and participate, especially if they're coming and they have small kids, then you don't have to wait for 3 hours to have your 3 minutes of time. And I also like this consideration of our student board members and changing around the putting consent at the bottom and moving the action, and maybe even the discussion items that would really benefit from student input, to move those to earlier in the meeting.
I have a clarifying question. So are you saying that the beginning section, which is typically for things not on the agenda, would now be for anything on the agenda? And then we would also still have public comment available on each item? Or no? Because
Yeah, you can do that. You can just have one public comment for anything on the item, for anything on the agenda, or things that are not on the agenda. But it allows people to be able to come forward, as Peggy mentioned, address the board, and they don't have to wait till you get to the action items or discussion or the consent. But separately, if you want to provide the public with additional opportunities, you can have a public comment section again as you go through the consent, etc. But to Peggy's comment is, you do not have to have people wait until the other action items. So if there are 7 action items, they can just speak from the very beginning and not have to wait for you to get to the 6th one.
Mm-hmm. So I think I could see where, so I've been to another board meeting, I think it was Cupertino Union, where what they did was they said, they had a lot of cards in the room, they had a ton of people there that all wanted to speak, and so they also had, they had public comment on, we talked about this before, they had public comment at the beginning, and then they had overflow public comment already on the agenda at the end, so that if it went over the 20 minutes of allotted time, and people would have to wait till the end to do their public comment, their general public comment. But, because they would only take 20 minutes or whatever they allowed. So even if there was more than 20 people, they were gonna have to take it to the end. I do worry a little that if we have, also have public comment for each additional item, like tonight, it went very fast, there weren't a lot of people here, but I could see where we've had some subjects where, people call in and they would call in for what it, as though it's not on the agenda, they wanna talk then, and they wanna talk at the item, and they'll wanna talk multiple times, and so that person's, I don't know, how you're keeping, does it really let's say I come for the beginning time, and I say I'm gonna talk about item 15B, and then 15B comes up, I'm like, we'll talk to you again about that. They get to talk twice. Is that what that would happen?
I was gonna ask that same question too. And if not, how do we keep track of that?
How do we keep track of it?
I think that's my one concern with, I like the idea of giving people different options of when to talk to accommodate. Some probably want to do it earlier and leave, some probably want to do it closer to the theme. But yeah, my concern is how, like, logistically, how is that gonna be keeping track of, like, Bridget already talked about this item, so now when it comes to that item conversation, you don't get a stick again, right? Like,
But someone might be coming in late and they can't get there till they think that agenda item's up, so you wanna let them speak.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's pros and cons to each, right? And so, but what is required is that you have to provide the public an opportunity to address the board before any item is considered. But you don't have to do both. You can do one or the other. But currently, the way we have it set up, we have public comment for closed session, right, which is required, public comment for the consent agenda, and then we're doing it for each individual action item, and then any discussion item. So there are multiple opportunities to address the board, but instead of doing that, if you want to make it easier for families or the public and the community to address the board, you can do it right from the very beginning. You don't have to separate it either.
Yeah, Evelyn?
But would they have another chance to do it again when that item comes
I don't
out?
know if you're on.
Once they,
You gotta push the red one. There.
Once they talk, at, you know, in the beginning, when they do the public comment and they say what they wanna say, can they wait again, like they said, and do another talk for that item, or once they've spoken, they're done?
Yeah, so it depends on how you want the format. So you can set it up so that there's multiple opportunities, or you can just set up one at the very beginning of the board meeting.
Well, I think, okay. So maybe we're confused, maybe you're not quite understanding. I think what we're asking is, like, if we allow public comment at the beginning on any topic, and we allow public comment during the time or during like all action items comment, can I speak about the same topic at the beginning and at the end? Or can the board limit me and say, you only get to talk about this item one time? So whether you talk about it at the beginning or at the time, you get to decide, but you only get to do it one time. Like, can we say that you only get one opportunity to talk on this item?
Yes, you can say that, but you can't stop someone from talking during that time and saying what they want to say.
Well, and more than once, we have people that come and talk about different items and take 3 minutes for, and I think that's a good opportunity. So if you put it only one, they're just gonna have 3 minutes to talk in anything that is related or not related to the agenda, so we are shortening the time.
I mean, for me, I personally like the idea of opening up to both. I think it's okay. It would just be changing things not on the agenda. We might actually get through the other items quicker because they have spoken earlier. So I'm okay with doing both, and we can communicate to people that, you know, like the change. As far as I agree with Peggy that.
Before you go to the next, can I clarify, when you're saying both, are you saying, so like when we get to the action items, we're going to have one public comment at the beginning of all 3 action items, or we're allowing public comment for action item 1, action item 2, action item 3?
I think we should have it for all discussion and all, like, in every part of them, like, or everything that is under discussion or under 14. So instead of having up to 20 minutes of A and 20 minutes of B and 20 minutes of C, we have 20 minutes on 14.
For all the action items,
Yeah.
or the comments on all discussion items?
Yes.
But also, I like the idea of having something in the front of the meeting.
Yes.
Where it is open, it's not just for things not on the agenda. So would that be okay? And
Well,
so,
technically that already is. Remember, we learned this a few months ago.
And that is the law, so like, people can come and talk about anything, even items that are not on the agenda.
I mean, that are on or not, it doesn't matter, okay. Okay, so I like that. I wanted to say to Peggy's comment, I do think that it would be nice if we do have a student board member, if we have some discussion items. If we move those up, I know that pushes consent later, and we were told earlier that consent is usually just so fast, and maybe some contractors are watching or something, and they wanna see if their contract gets signed, or, you know, people get their promotion or whatever, but I think I would prioritize the student voice, and I would even I even wonder if we should possibly move board member reports to later in the meeting, because they do take a little bit of time and it's us communicating with each other.
Some we'll do at the end.
I'm nodding. Yes, I agree.
Some we'll do at the very end.
Yeah, so that's,
I know that some boards do the comments at the end, but
it's an opportunity to talk to the public as well, but it really, we're supposed to be like reporting to each other on like what we're doing and like what we learned and like what we thought was cool about what we saw. So, I mean, it is okay, but it just seems to take up, if we end up, maybe we could talk about it tomorrow in our governance meeting, but if we're really trying to think about how we can maximize student participation and time, that is something that we have control over. Or like we come to an agreement that like we only share one thing out loud and then everything else is written down. Not because we're all so engaged and we're all doing so many different things, but if we really want to maximize student time, that might be a place where we could do that. The SEA, CEA, SEF, and like those are all 3 minutes each, and then the superintendent is setting the tone for the meeting. So I think those are all in a good place.
I'd be fine with board member reports.
yeah, Emily?
I just have a question about the format. Is there a law where we have to do the closed session first before the kids can do their report and do the flag salute and the living land? Or just because, we come in, they're here and they're ready, and then closed session will be back, and then they, so that way they could leave?
Yes, you can have closed session at the end.
After.
Yes.
So I think for closed session, we are also trying to be considerate. Sometimes we need to have counsel there or somebody else to provide information. So that was part of the consideration in having closed session first. But then oftentimes, like before we got on mostly, it would go for like over an hour. And so that was my my intent in like, let's set this goal of coming back by around 6:30-ish. And if you look at, for example, like the high school district, if you look at their agendas, they say they will go back to open session no earlier than, for example, like 5:15, right? So that way it makes it very easy for people to plan, okay, I need to get there by 5:15, but they're not going to go back into open session before that point. And so all of this is just kind of feeding. Also, Evelyn, I agree, like let's consider the students that are coming. So these are all the different points of considerations. We have different people coming in for closed session. We had the students coming for their, like 2 minutes of land acknowledgement. But it's a big deal, and we want to also center student voice. So to that point, I agree with moving board member reports to the end, and also to continue just writing in what we've been doing. Yeah, so those are my thoughts around those things.
I also about closed session, I do support moving closed session to the end again. I mean, we've been trying it in the beginning for a while, and it's often heavy stuff in closed session, and I think we can, if we need an additional closed session, maybe we have it like before a board meeting or attach it to something, but I don't know. I mean, I think unless the lawyers are charging us double or something for coming later, because they already cost a lot, we can, I'm flexible on closed session, but I don't feel like it needs to be in the front of the meeting, although, I hear your point. The other thing I wanted to say is that as we're talking about student board members, the student reports, I think it's just like, we just like, before, several years ago, we used to have one school come in every month. So we got through all the schools, and it used to be a principal report. But I think we could have a student report where we're talking about their school or something going on, or some format like that, but it does not like 6 short reports, like that actually takes a fair amount of time. And right now we don't have a student board member, so like that's what we're getting. But if we end up having a student board member who's giving feedback on things or a couple of student board members, maybe the student reports slightly change in format too, in time.
Well, I think didn't we talk about at that other meeting that we would then probably do like elementary, maybe each elementary would have like one time where they come and report to us or something. Going back to the closed session, what are your thoughts about timing of closed session?
I think it's important to be consistent with the closed session, and I think your consideration of moving it to the end is a good one. The drawback is that you may have legal counsel waiting because we may not be able to control the amount of time that we're spending out
What time
here.
that's at?
Yes, and then secondly is sometimes you will be dealing with some pretty big major decisions in closed session. And I don't recommend that you wait to the end when you're tired and we all wanna go home to make those decisions or consider those.
Like superintendent evaluation.
Which I think was a little bit, was kind of the impetus of why because it used to be at the end and why we moved it earlier. I mean, our board meetings are getting shorter, so it's less than, but we were doing closed session like often after 10 o'clock at night, and that was not our, right? We were not in our A game then.
But now we're doing the half an hour only, and the students know that we won't start until 6:30 anyway, so we can just give them a heads up that we're not gonna have the flag ceremony until 6:30.
Yes, and I think the 30-minute in closed session is a really quick time. I mean, typically it's an hour. But it also improves transparency for the public to know that, around 6:30, you're gonna come out and start the regular board meeting.
So maybe we do wanna kind of do something with that, like, we will not start open session before 6:30 and make that clear, like, if they wanna come early to practice, but I think maybe sometimes they come thinking we gotta be there right when the meeting starts at 6, for them to know, you do not have to be here at 6, right? We will not start before 6:30, so as long as you're before 6:30, you're not late, kind of making that more clear for them, and then they can do what they want, but I think more clarity to them, because sometimes I feel bad, like, oh my gosh, they're just gonna sit and wait for us.
Is 6:30 reasonable? When we have closed sessions and there's many items, we have been trying to order them so that if there are people that, we'll have those conversations first, knowing that it will overflow into the end where it can just be a conversation that doesn't require additional people to come in. But still, even so, if we just have one or two items, is that, like, it feels like we try to get back around 6:30, but it's like ends up being 6:40 generally. So would we want to like give us that extra cushion and then say we will not go back in like before 6:45 and like open session starts at 6:45?
My preference is to keep it
How
at
does that timing in the beginning? 6:30 and just keep it tight?
Yeah, my preference is, we're not telling them we're starting right at 6:30, but we're saying we will not come back to open session right before 6:30. But it might be 6:35, 6:40. I'm okay if they have to wait 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, Bridget?
I was just gonna say, if you, as board president, are very concerned about making sure that we are back in the room at 6:30, then we need to make sure that we have a minute to walk between the conference room and here.
Okay.
And take care of any business we need to take care of, because, that's when people are like, getting a little bit organized and getting themselves together, so we need to like leave the closed session a little earlier if you wanna make sure we're back in here, and then we'll agree and we'll just go finish at the end of the meeting. We can do that.
Okay. Well, I think having that language like Michelle saying,
I agree.
will not start open session before 6:30 is good for people to know that. And we'll try to be tighter if we need to.
And I feel like the comments from, and all the reports at the beginning with the students, if we're gonna have school reports with the superintendent and then the board, because it's kind of a connection also with the public. And it doesn't have to take so long either. Regularly fast.
If we keep our board member reports, and I am just as guilty of like wanting to talk about all the things I've done. So if we say like 2 or 3
You're cutting out a whole bunch, Peggy.
listed in the minutes. If we can commit to that, I'd be comfortable keeping it in the front. But also like in the in the back, some like I've watched other districts and they really like to talk about all the things they do, and that takes 40 minutes for them to go through the whole board. And at that point, it's just them talking to each other, which is actually what the point of it is, you know? So if we want to have a little bit more time to talk about ourselves and what we're doing in the interest of students, then moving to the back makes sense to me.
Yeah, but I think right now it's not that long.
It's pretty long.
Like I haven't timed exactly, but I would guess it's 15 to 20 minutes.
Maybe more.
Yeah. Depends on
With
the
all of us, and we're 5 talking, so, and it varies. Not everybody has a lot to say every time.
But I would say we're at least 15.
So I have a thought. So like what we could do, I mean, okay, like let's say if we really wanted to have a section in the front, it doesn't, I mean, we could say word highlights or something. You get a minute at the mic, you get your 3 minutes, you get your elevator speech, your 2 minutes.
It gets pushed off at 1
Yeah,
minute.
and we get less than 3 minutes. You get a minute and a half for your board minute. It's a board minute at the mic. And then at the end, we can do our reports and we can actually communicate hey, I saw this really cool thing. And at the end of the meeting, we can do the reports, or I went to the, all of our committee meetings, or voting for the person we're gonna vote for, whatever it is that we're signed up to do, or
explaining about our committees that are
challenge team, stuff that we've been to, or other things that we want to share. So might give us a maybe we could noodle on that. Think about how that could
We could also
work.
try the new way for, a couple meetings and then check
That's
back in,
true.
and if we're not liking it, go back.
Yeah,
Do the highlight.
We're breaking the closed session, that we're breaking it into sections if we need to.
That's right. We want to talk more.
What you can do is, before you finalize the format of the agenda, is at the following board meeting, the president can say, after the superintendent's report, now we're gonna make some adjustments to the agenda, or when you approve the agenda, and move the board reports to the end so you can try it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should try it out for a meeting or two just to see, and if we don't like it, then we change it back.
And if we want to go ahead with more regular changes, are those bylaw changes, or how would we proceed if we want to go ahead with some of these suggestions here?
Yes, you can always revisit this at a later time. I mean, we've made some changes already to the format, so this is just another opportunity for you to revisit, and you can, again, there's nothing stopping you in the future from doing this.
There's no question.
So is this going to be on the agenda tomorrow as well? Are we going to be spending any time on this to talk about it more, or when would we be talking about this again?
I'll defer to President Shanbruster now.
We could talk about it during governance. We can fit it into that discussion.
Because I'm comfortable with maybe having one more layout of it, or with the understanding it could change, or trying something with the understanding it could change once we have student board members, right? So we could, like Michelle said, we could try it, but it's a matter, I think, Dr. Questright, you said it was a matter of informing the public of the changes. So how much flexibility do we have to change it to try something versus to confirm it?
So when you start your board meeting, you can just make that adjustment there when you approve the agenda. But moving forward, once you are ready to take action, my recommendation is to improve transparency, have the discussion so that the public is aware, and then the following board meeting you can take action.
So we are discussing it now, so wouldn't the next meeting be taking action on the new agenda?
You can, unless you want additional time to practice or maybe try moving the board reports to the end.
So you're saying, we would keep this, but at the next regular board meeting, Peggy would just say, hey, we're going to move board member reports to the end.
Correct.
So we don't
Yeah.
do official change, we'll just try it out
Yes.
1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
And then we would say, yes, make that official change.
And then the other thing is has been discussed is you can try to keep your reports to 3 minutes and just generally try to make that effort. It may not always happen, but there's a.
Well, but even 3 minutes is still 15 plus minutes.
Yes.
So why don't we experiment a little bit with moving that board member report. The other parts, like having the public, having the comments just for all the action items, all the discussion items. I was thinking maybe we can start doing those kind of bigger changes when the next school year comes, when we will also have a new student board member. Does that make sense, as opposed to like switching it right now, or deciding to change something like in April?
I actually like the idea of trying it now, especially because we have a couple of, like, if we have any, like, we have the LCAP and we have some other things coming up that people might want to weigh in on. We have the Orinda presentation, we have some other things, so maybe having that earlier time might be really good for families. So I was wondering if we could try that and just explain what we're trying to do and why, like vote on it at the next meeting, and, ask people to provide feedback, public comment then, and just try it that way. And I think it's gonna take some communication about like how it works.
So, Bridget, clarification, are you talking about trying to have the public comments be available to agenda or non-agendized items? Is that?
Yeah, in the beginning.
The language actually right now is not restricting it from being non-agendized. I think that's kind of like just the way we've held it too, but it doesn't say you can't comment.
She's saying doing both, like doing that thing and then doing the space where, because yeah, technically it's already there, we just haven't been doing that in practice, but then also the space of like, instead of on all 3 action items, there's gonna be comments every time. When we get to action items, say the action items are 13, we'll say, okay, we're gonna take any comments on action items 13, A, B, C, maybe we'll say them out, and all the comments happen right then at the beginning of action.
Is that what you're saying, Bridget? You want to try both of those things?
Yeah, I think because if we try the one, then we could try the other.
Okay, so then it sounds like we do need to take an action at the next meeting to change that structure, or we're going to say it like at the beginning as this is going to be a little different this meeting, just for this meeting to try it out.
I think we should talk about it at the next meeting. Just take an action item at the next meeting and really talk about it and see how it would look.
But I think she's asking, do we have to take an action or can we just practice it?
Dr. Crossway?
Yes, as long as you make it clear for the public. And so you can include additional language. And so when the person presiding over the board meeting goes to that item, we will now take public comments on any item under action as opposed to individually for each item.
So it's just changing the script, basically. Yeah. And I don't think anybody will really care except for us if we move our comments to the back. So I think you could just decide about
Okay,
that.
so do we have agreement amongst us all that we want to try that new formatting? Is everyone okay with that?
Yep, everyone here is nodding their head.
All right. Okay. I can't see head nodding from here. Very small little people. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Thank you for the discussion.
I have just a couple like logistical things. So on the the sample so number 10 is governing board items. Like what are examples? Is that the action item? Like what would fall under governing board items?
Yeah, and I apologize for the confusion on this. The governing board items can include resolutions related to like CSBA, bylaws, board policies, things like that, but you may not always have some of those items. So just like action items, we may not always have.
Yeah, so placeholder spot. Okay, so that's what those ones are. Okay. And then public hearings. Okay.
Good, and then with that, we move to the next item, which is 14B, review and discuss after-school programs.
Wait, Wait, sorry, so, for the other one, we had, discussion items would be, like, consent would be at the end. Is that okay?
Yes, moving consent.
Everyone's okay?
Oh, yeah, so it's adjusting what the sample looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the end, for the after-school programs, I presented during my superintendent's report, just an update in terms of what we're doing. I know there's been some concerns raised, and, we're trying to address the need in an intentional manner. And we understand that there's some challenges with our after-school programs, but as you saw, we've expanded the number of students in family service here, and we're hopefully, if things go according to plan, we'll be able to hit over 800 students the following year.
Perfect. So if there are any comments pertaining to item 14D, please hand in a blue card or use the raise hand feature online. Okay, so no comments, then board discussion on this item, 14D, the after-school programs.
So I was really hoping for more information about, like, not just a link to the website, but like more meat in it, I guess, about like what's going on with the new pilots and, how the pilot program, like what does a day in the schedule look like from Think Together? What kinds of activities are they doing? I've seen a lot of things online that Think Together has put together for other districts and other after-school programs. So I was really excited about Think Together, but like I haven't really heard what exactly they're doing, and I've heard, oh, we'll tailor it to what the students want to do. And like for me, like as a parent, I don't know if I would sign up for that. I really want to know, like, are my kids doing science? Are they going to do art? Are they, what does the homework thing look like? So, and I know that they do have a focus on academic support. And so, like, I'm interested in sort of like how our after-school programs, like what the expectation is of the ones that we're partnering with and providing. And then we also have some private ones that we partner with. I would like to see the price point comparison for them, right? Like how much is a family paying if they're going to Catalyst versus KLAS versus Think Together, like, and what kinds of programs are they having? And then I know this year we don't have anything really over the breaks, although I think maybe Catalyst does, maybe Catalyst offers something, I don't know. There are some places where they offer things over the breaks, and then like the idea about maybe next year, I know Director Slayton has talked about maybe looking into partial or some coverage over the breaks for a different price point or something. So I think it's good I'm interested in what's happening with it after school because it's so important to our families. And I'm excited that we're expanding it. I just would like to know more about it, I guess.
Okay, yeah, and if there's anything else that any of you would like, we can definitely bring that back and do a brief presentation at a future board meeting.
That would be great, and also I would like to know about remedial classes and how they're connecting with the kids during the day at school. If somebody needs extra help with something, how are they getting it? And how they know?
Dr. Crossway, when you bring it back to a more formal presentation, can you talk a little bit more in detail about ELAP and what that means and which students we are prioritizing?
Yes, and I can also share the updates regarding the state requirements. The Sunnyvale School District is classified as a tier 2, and we have different requirements in terms of the ELAP. But because we're now a tier 2, we have additional opportunities to partner with organizations like Think Together, Catalyst, etc.
Okay, sorry. I also want to clarify our terms. Or I also want to clarify the way that we talk about after-school programming. At one point, it was said that everything after school that we provide would be then now called KLAS. Do you all remember that? But I'm not sure if that means like Think Together then becomes KLAS, but I think it'd just be good to have a good understanding of what terminology we're going to be using for after-school programming.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, the last year, I remember Tasha giving a presentation that from now on, everything was gonna be called KLS.
I can follow with some of that too, and just for your reference, when ELOP first came out, it was for school districts that had a certain percentage of unduplicated students, including McKinney-Vento, unhoused students. And when it was updated and revised, Sunnyvale is now classified as Tier 2, which means less than 75% of the students are considered unduplicated.
Less than 7?
Less than 75%.
So before we were on we had a smaller number.
More? We had more?
So the district may not have been eligible when initially the ELOP funds came out, but it gives us additional flexibility to offer the programs beyond students who may not qualify or be eligible under ELOP. But we're still required to prioritize the unduplicated students for ELOP and using ELOP funds.
So are you saying our number of unduplicated students has gone down?
No, I'm just saying that the state,
The law.
yeah, the law was updated, but the state identifies Sunnyvale as Tier 2 because we have less than 75% of our students in the district, not in the after-school programs, in the district who are unduplicated.
So we could have been Tier 2 before you came, and this may be what language we used.
It is, yeah, and it's before me,
So it's maybe not
absolutely,
necessarily
yeah,
used,
nothing
we
to do
have
with
that
me
language.
or the timing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did the tiers just become established as tiers?
I believe it was 2 years ago, I could be wrong on that, but I believe it was 2 years ago.
Okay. Okay, well, maybe we can have a further discussion presentation also as we are understanding the needs for the coming year. Maybe we can do that in when do you all want to hear about that? A couple of months or what do we think?
That means that all schools are gonna have after school.
We have, I'll bring that back, just to make sure, but yes, the plan is to continue expanding the services across the schools.
All right, Peggy had that question. I don't really care when it comes back, so.
I think it'd be
Next
great to
week.
have it, an update for a plan for what's happening next year. Like that would be really helpful, because then we could also be informing parents and giving them kind of a preview. So if we could know the school year before school gets out, like before June, mid-June, or the first June board meeting or whatever, or end of May, I think that would be helpful for families, because that would give them a little bit of a heads up, or just information.
For the Think Together information, will it show like how much it would be per student? And do we know if like the price would change?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're in conversations with Think Together for next year. By June, we should have all those details. Actually sooner, we're hoping to do this by May because they also need to start recruiting and getting ahead of this.
Okay, and then is there a deadline for families to sign up? And after the deadline, can they still sign up?
Yes, so they can still sign up, but it also depends on the location and whether or not spaces are available. It also is based on the number of ELOP eligible families who sign up, and if there's spaces afterward as well.
Thank you. Well, looks like we don't have any more comments, and With that, that's the last discussion item. The next one is just an information item. And then we can move to 16, future meetings. The next meeting will be Friday, March 27th, 2026 at 10 a.m. It's a special board meeting tomorrow morning. And after that, right now is 9:35, and we can say that our meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Monica. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Night.